Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Adriana Williams, and I'm happy to share with you my presentation on the operating system Arch Linux. So let me briefly break down the bits of my presentation. First, we'll hear about what Arch Linux is. Then, we'll hear a history of the operating system. And then, we'll cover the general guidelining characteristics of the operating system's purpose and design. Those encompass 5 principles. Finally, I'll have a few questions for you at the end to help review what we've learned. So what is Arch Linux? If you've heard of the operating system before, hopefully you'll find this information familiar. Those of you who don't know of Arch Linux can probably guess from its name that it is a type of Linux distribution. Arch Linux is an independently developed 64-bit general-purpose GNU Linux distro. So it's free and open source. Arch Linux strives to provide the latest stable versions of most software by following a rolling release model. The default installation is a minimal base system, so it's configurable by the user to only add what is purposely required. So it can be configured to use the OS in the way the user wants and not with extra or specialized add-ons already set. Now, onto the history. Judd Vinay, a Canadian programmer and guitarist, began developing Arch Linux nearly 20 years ago in 2001. Just in the following year, on March 11, 2002, there was the first formal release of Arch Linux. Vinay made Arch Linux inspired by the simple and elegant style of a few other Linux distros, yet him noting there to be a lack of package management from them. So Vinay created a package management program called Pac-Man. Not the classic arcade game, but pack as in package and man as in manager. Pac-Man. Arch Linux's community members, also known as Archers, the community has grown throughout the years and is known as an open, friendly, helpful community. As you see in the graph on the right, the statistics for different facets of the community, such as forum posts, users registered, bugs opened, bugs closed, and wiki page revisions, have all increased substantially as time has gone on. Since 2005, the Arch Wiki was first set up on the Media Wiki engine. In 2007, Judd Vinay retired his place as an active Arch developer, then transferring over his role to American programmer Aaron Griffin. In 2012, Arch install scripts replaced the once menu-driven Arch installation framework. Between 2012 and 2013, the traditional System VNet was replaced by SystemMD. And lastly, in 2017, support for 32-bit architecture would cease due to decreasing popularity among the developers and the community. The 5 principles of the Arch Linux distribution characterize the appeal and guidelining principles of the operating system. Those are it being simple, modern, pragmatic or practical, user-centric, and versatile. The simplicity of Arch Linux is that it is without unnecessary additions or modifications. It ships its software upstream, or as released by the original developers, and it has minimal downstream or distribution-specific changes added. There are no automation features such as enabling a service simply because the package was installed. And packages are only split when benefits such as saving disk space exist. A GUI is not officially provided, which encourages the user to do most of the system configurations from the shell or text editor. Arch Linux's modernity is that the latest stable release versions of its software are maintained so long as system package breakage is avoided. Arch Linux is based on a rolling release system, as stated in the beginning of my presentation. So with rolling release, it means a one-time installation with continuous upgrades. Arch Linux also incorporates many new features available to GNU Linux users in regards to its init system, file systems, memory storage, UDEV support, having the latest kernels, etc. Arch Linux is meant to be a pragmatic one rather than an ideological operating system. So, design decisions are made by developers on a case-by-case basis, being evidence and debate-based, not based on, say, politics or popular opinion. It is also pragmatic in that it has available to it a large number of packages and build scripts in various Arch Linux repositories. There are free open source software and packages as well as proprietary software packages. So functionality is had over ideology. On to user centrality. Rather than having a focus on being user-friendly, Arch Linux is made to be user-centric. It's intended to fill the OS needs of those a part of the Arch Linux community, those using and contributing to it, rather than trying to appeal to as many users as possible. It's made for those proficient in GNU Linux, or anyone really, any who are with a can-do attitude, who are willing to take the initiative to figure out problems and read documentation. Archers can involve themselves in contributing to the Arch user repository and other facets of the Arch Linux community. And lastly, we have about its versatility. Arch Linux is a general-purpose distro where upon installation, only command line environment is provided, and the user is offered the ability to build a custom system by choosing from thousands of high-quality packages provided in official repos. Pacman, being incorporated by Arch Linux, is a lightweight, simple, and fast package management system. You are even able to upgrade the entire system with one command. So all this, along with features like Arch Build System and the thousands of community-contributed package build scripts available, it makes it possible for users to build and maintain their own systems with ease. All right, now that we are done with going over what the operating system Arch Linux is, its history, and 5 principal characteristics, it's time for a quick Q&A. Question 1. True or false? Does Arch Linux use a rolling release system? If you answered true, you are correct. Question 2. True or false? Is Arch Linux a GNU Linux distribution? If you answered true, you are correct. Question 3. Which of the following is a part of the 5 principal guidelines of the Arch Linux OS? Simplicity, modernity, pragmatism, user centrality, versatility, or all of the above? If you answered all of the above, you are correct. Thank you for listening to my presentation on the Arch Linux operating system.